Hi there, I'm CodyCarlton, and this is my improved version of MSS Supplies. So, not a whole lot changed in the improvement of my app. Um, the searching and the list filtering and selecting how to filter the list remain largely the same between the first version and the second version. Really, the only thing that changed in the portrait layout of the iPhone was the navigation section. Um, I found that my eye was drawn more towards this blue color for the turn-by-turn directions, which was down here kind of towards the bottom middle of the first version. Um, and so I decided to play around with the layouts of this screen here. And I was really playing around with it with the iPad version when I came across a layout that I really liked and I thought that made a lot of sense in terms of visual hierarchy. Um, I also increased the size of the contact information for the store just in case the user wanted to be able to email them rather than call them over the phone. Um, so like I said, nothing really changed as far as updates to the initial portrait version. Um, I did also change the wording from purchase to buy for the product, mainly because I felt buy was more of an action term rather than purchase. Purchase seems kind of highfalutin and was, quite frankly, longer to say. Um, so I changed the purchase to buy and then changed the heading for the purchase screen or to the buying screen to allow the user to know exactly where they are and what they're doing. Um, so that was it for the portrait version as far as updates. Everything else, the people who I had test it really liked the design and the layout. Um, so there wasn't a whole lot to change there. Um, so I then moved on to the landscape functions of the phone here. The store didn't change too terribly, um, although I'm not sure if I like this, the list view here. I think I would maybe change it to a uh, grid view. However, I didn't do that for this video, mainly because I wanted to have a clear distinction between the iPhone version and the iPad version. Um, so that was just more of a personal preference on my part um, as to why this screen didn't change to a grid view in the landscape mode. The product details, the buying page, and the navigation page did change quite substantially. Um, I really liked how the product details page turned out with a little bit larger image and the product name and price. Um, I felt like this is kind of what the grid view would look like, um, and then it's just kind of expanded to show the other parts of the product cell. Um, so the description would still be able to be scrolled in case there was a large description for the product. Um, and then I had the stock count and the location links changed to this bottom section here um, to allow the user to know that they can select that and still move on and make it easier to read from a left to right perspective for the whole screen here. Um, and then the buying page, not a whole lot changed. I didn't make everything in line down the middle because I didn't want the user to have to scroll up or scroll down to see everything on the page. I really focused on trying to get everything on one page so that way the user didn't have to scroll at all, and they could still complete, the buying of the product here. I did increase the button size to make it a little bit more obvious where to push whenever the user is done entering their card information and which store to go to. The page that did change quite a bit was the store location page from the portrait mode. So I moved the turn-by-turn directions and everything to the left-hand side, mainly because we read from left to right. So I felt it prudent to put the turn-by-turn directions on the left to make it easier, so that when the phone is on the dashboard, the user can just kind of glance at it, and immediately they'll see the blue and read that before looking at the map and trying to zoom in on the map to see where they're going or where they need to turn. So I felt like that was a really unique design, and I feel it really adds to the UX because the user won't have to, like I said, zoom in on the map to see where they're going. I did keep the store phone number and email on the same page, just in case they wanted to call the store or email them really fast, in case they needed to ask them about the product or anything like that. So for the tablet versions, quite a bit changed as far as the design goes. I used grid views more for the list items to give it more of like a store feeling. So this is how they would be like pegged on a shelf. I also updated the details page to show more of a map view and the store locations at the bottom of the product details page. Mainly because I wanted the user to know that they could still click on this, and it gives a better use of the space for the iPad. The other part that changed quite a bit was the purchasing page or the buying page. So rather than having the user navigate to a whole nother page, I had the buying part in a bottom sheet for the iPad. I felt like this was a really neat design, mainly because the user can still see exactly what they're buying here in the top section, and then they can still enter in all their information and see exactly which store has the store count that they're going to go pick it up from, all in one little page. And then once they hit done, the bottom sheet changes to the purchase complete bottom sheet, and they can either shop some more or pick up the item if they would like. And then the navigation for the iPad, like I said earlier, this is where I got the inspiration to move the turn here up to the top and then have the next turn kind of slide it into this blue portion here, and then have the map and then the store contact information and everything there. So what I found really challenging was developing for the landscape of the iPhone and making the most use of the screen real estate for the iPad. But overall, I'm very happy with how this turned out, and I hope you enjoyed the video.